God.
It is what it is. Just stealing kids. There's one in Skokie. You could probably walk away with a couple kids and just take them over to Red Robin. You'd be all good.
Come out to the one in Broadview by our house. Shit's the size of a mall.
I'm good.
I think they have a kids section. Just select which one you want.
Oh yeah, no, the one off of like Cermak, right? All the way down.
Yeah, I think it might be off Cermak. I'm not.
It's on the way to Oak. Not Oak. Is it Oak Brook?
No. That's another one. That's off 290. The one in Broadview is off the cut. It's over by the courthouse.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know which one you're talking about now.
Oh God, you're saying Broadview is bringing back memories.
What's her name?
Officer Nicole.
Officer Nicole.
Start busting out the little Wayne. Wee.
I didn't do it. Yeah, I might have done it.
No, I had to
You did
go see her, and then I'll leave. But then I was in Dalton, and the buses don't start running until a certain time in the morning. So then I would sleep on the red line until the buses start running. It'll take me 6 hours to get home.
Damn. I fell asleep on the red line one time. That was the worst.
Sorry to hear that.
It was junior year. That's when I lived over there on Ashland and Howard. And I was going to school, fell asleep because I could fall asleep on a train like nobody's, It happens often, as I can attest.
Uh-huh.
It took my ass to 95th to Howard, to 95th to Howard because it was brush hour, so it never went back in the yard. And then I woke up in the yard about 11:30. And the guy was like, "Yo, we didn't even notice you were here." I'm like, "It's cool. I appreciate it. I had to make sure everything was all good." So I just got up and walked home, grab a little sub and some fries off of that one spot right off the red line. It was all good.
Yeah.
It was high in sodium because those French fries were came out with salt. By the way, we've been recording the entire time.
Look, okay. We always start with the banter.
Yeah, there's always a nice little introduction to us.
Yeah, even though there's not we have a ton of stuff.
The sun makes your AC in the background look empty, like it's just there for show.
Right now it is.
This is comfortable with the new setup. I'm just gonna lay back. You guys talk. I'll sit here. No sunlight here. Well, welcome to another episode of the Wiseman Wrestling Podcast. Sean to my left, me in the middle, Rod at the bottom.
I always forget to do my name.
You guys always forget, but I make sure that we put our official Twitter handle at We Are the Wiseman because you guys are much more interactive. I'm just sitting there reposting and retweeting and liking shit that doesn't get me caught up or anything.
Yeah, that I go to Twitter for the smoke, no other reason.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I go on video games.
I have a stressful day, so I take it out of people on Twitter.
I try to crush children's dreams in these games. So.
I'm crushing my own dreams playing 2K after 6 years of not playing it.
I'll let you know how it is when I get the PS5. I'm not touching it.
My feelings are absolutely hurt right now.
I'm not touching that game. We're still doing a Pro-Am league, and now, like I told Rod offline, I was downloaded GIMP, the image manipulation.
Yeah.
So now I'm creating these custom 2K Pro-Am jerseys. I'm like, yeah, we'll have some fun now.
I gave up on the face scan and just told myself my story is my son instead of me. Just it's the my player's name Junior anyway. I was like, that's what they were gonna go with.
Hey Sean. Hey Junior. Hey Dad.
What's up? We're just gonna go with that because And the commentary is hilarious because you can have a trash ass games and they'll be hyping you up.
Oh yeah, just like last year's edition. Jay, I'm like, what the hell? First of all, it's the easiest way to get into the NBA if you ask 2K. Oh, I see you finally got your T-shirt.
Yeah, finally. Thank you.
Which one you got? The Black Wrestlers Matter?
Yeah, I literally got it on the day that they actually had the event. That's the day it came in the mail.
Yeah, I got mine, a week after I ordered it or so.
I got 2 T-shirts coming. One is the Bullet Club Black Lives Matter one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that Jay White was wearing?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
Mm-hmm. And then the legendary Vacant T-shirt.
Ah, nice.
Can't wait
got
to
some
rock that
T-shirts. I bought the one from Uninterrupted.
Okay.
The shirts that they just came up with, like we will not shut up and dribble. All the athletes banding together. It was a dope ass T-shirt, and 100% of the proceeds went to the NAACP for the legal funds.
As a side note, if you buy the Bullet Club Black Lives Matter T-shirt, 100% of the money goes to Black Lives Matter.
Oh, that's what's up. Where'd you get it off of?
Pro Wrestling Tees.
Oh, cool. I'll just go make my order right now and pick it up.
Right. Just go pick it up. That's what's up.
I'm down the street. It's on the way to the expressway before I start.
Yeah, but with that traffic, it takes like 2 hours.
No, it's gotten better since they fixed it.
Have they built something over there that was kind of funky?
They're building a Chick-fil-A and a Panera Bread in the middle of an intersection.
Good work.
Which is weird, but
good work.
I don't like Chick-fil-A that much.
They throw Chick-fil-A's up like it comes in a box or some shit.
It's like, and this is a family neighborhood.
It's actually fairly easy to franchise a Chick-fil-A.
Right, because they basically front you the money.
Yeah. And it's like the second lowest franchising fee next to Subway. It's like only like 35,000.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, not Subway, Jimmy John's is like the easiest one. But yeah, you just got to be, you have to be Christian.
Correct.
And you have to be, I think, like $100K liquid and pay like a $35,000 fee. Then you're good. Like they French everything else.
Yeah, I read the story of the one that's in Skokie. He details his process in his little "I'm a owner" plaque type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. But let's roll right into it. Set of people coming in, people going out. Renee Young.
Oh, let me stop you right there.
Renee Paquette.
You're ahead by a whole show.
I'm ahead by a whole show?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, we didn't record last week, so we have 2 shows worth to do. So we're
at shit. 89. I skipped over 89 too.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, I'm not prepared for this.
We can't do this. We can't do all that, man. No, man, we got to combine this crap, dog.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's put it all in one.
That's why I was trying to warn you guys. Have a lot.
Just put all this in.
We have a lot to cover. I do remember seeing 89.
Mm-hmm.
But now
I understand. We can truncate it as much as possible, but you see where we really have to start.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
2020 sucks.
Yeah.
See, I'm at the point where I'm not blaming it on 2020 because the reason is I don't want to get gas, fired. It is 2020, and then we sit there in 2021, but but it didn't stop.
It's only September.
That's what I'm saying. Chill. It's only September. Yeah, we said that only in April too. We canceled summer in May. Remember that.
There's a lot of people this week. Just this week alone was tough. We found out last.
I have to apologize. I couldn't even remember everybody
No.
Yeah, there's still a couple people missing from this list, and that's crazy.
And the thing about it too is that while I was thinking about, these are probably like the three that were probably like the most impactful of the week.
For sure.
But like, let's not forget that we didn't even mention Kamala a couple weeks ago.
Correct.
Like we completely blew past that one too. We can only do so much.
So,
But we do what we can. But I mean, Chadwick was the biggest one.
That was tough. That's tough because I even had to console Matthew about that. You know, he's seen as a kid, he doesn't realize the impact yet that we witnessed. But I mean, he's lost. I've had to explain Kobe Bryant in February, and now Black Panther. I mean, you know,
we lost 24 and 42 in the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on Jackie Robinson Day,
that's what hurt the most.
Yeah.
That's what hurt the most for me.
Yeah.
Because I was literally watching a tribute on SportsCenter to Jackie Robinson as it came up on the bottom. And what I'm not going to say irked me, but it's SportsCenter. I'm not expecting them to literally break away, but it literally just scrolled across the bottom. And me and Sonia were like, what the hell? Wait, what was that?
Right.
No, I saw it on Twitter, and then I immediately, my instinct is I'm not going to TMZ after that whole debacle that was the Kobe Bryant press release for that. So I just went to his page, and unfortunately, we saw the message that his his representatives posted for him on Twitter, and that's tough, man. And I remember seeing it too, because I know recently listening to like the Budden podcast is like there's so many people talking shit about him, and the parallel that brought back to me was Gian Greco talking bad about Walter Payton when Walter Payton was dealing with cancer, and how sick he looked, and then to find out it's like, oh man, it's like if this year hasn't taught you anything about being accountable for the words that you're saying, it's like, let this be a lesson to you. And this guy was fighting through stage 3 colon cancer for the last few years, putting on iconic performances.
Right.
And he wasn't picking, and and I love the story, they showed his commencement speech about how he went for his acting roles, and then he was getting these stereotypical roles that Hollywood put, the thug, the gangster, the drug dealer and shit like that. And you look back at his catalog, his all impactful roles.
Correct.
And
he had a nice.
You rarely see that.
I can't remember the exact show, but it was definitely one of those like barbershop top settings. It was like him, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart, and there's a few other people in the room. And he mentioned about, turning down those roles, and his belief that him turning down those roles opened doors for him to take the roles that he was able to take. So he's like, I'm convinced that, I was always convinced the right role would come up for me and I didn't have to settle. So he just kept saying, no. And, and he was always proven right, even all the way up, to his last couple roles. Five Bloods is one, and then there's another Netflix movie that's going to come out soon as well.
Yeah. And then not to mention, he did the voiceover for Marvel's What If, where T'Challa becomes, I forgot, it was,
Captain America?
it's going to be it wasn't Captain America. It's something else. It's going to be really dope, but he did the actual voiceover for it. They were using the actual actors in the animated cartoon. So that's pretty dope to see. So, but man, as the cultural impact that Black Panther had alone.
Oh yeah. That was a phenomenon. The Black Panther was the movie was something we haven't experienced in our generation, where it was literally, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to do it multiple times. My daughter was working at a movie theater at the time, and it was insane. Like, literally, she was working at a movie theater, I think had 12 screens, and like 10 of them were Black Panther for like 3 straight months. It was, I mean, special is not a word, for that. I don't know what the right word is, but it was just something that, because it's been done, it can't be duplicated. And from a legacy standpoint, I really hope they don't do. I know there's a plan for it, so I know they're not going to change that plan. But I would be okay if there wasn't a Black Panther 2 at this point.
Well, they can still, I mean, because unfortunately with the natural progression of the comic books, they do have the storyline where he does die.
Correct. No, I do understand
but it's
that.
But I don't think they should, like you're right. I mean, right now it's kind of.
You can't recast it. You can't do.
Fucked. No.
Yeah, you can't recast it.
If anything, you pass it on to the daughter, to his sister, Shuri.
Right. Now that could be done. It just has to be done the right way.
Yeah, but I mean, according to the I think it was Comic Book News, they had, he was in multiple stage these what the fuck are they calling? Stage 4, or what do they call it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, phase 4. He was set to go into the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah,
make a bunch of appearances. So it's like, yeah, you can't really recast it, and you can't go the route where you revive Michael B. Jordan's character, Killmonger.
I don't think he would.
Yeah,
personally, I don't think he would.
No, I don't.
Well,
just to see his Instagram post too. Go ahead.
I look at it from this perspective. I would love to do everything to preserve and respect, his contribution to Black Panther, but if you actually listen to like the speeches that he's given at like award shows and like the interviews that he's done, it would be from his perspective, it'll almost be wrong for us not to continue it. We may have to just let it breathe for a while until we can just get our minds and hearts used to seeing somebody else in that role. But it can't stop here.
Well, I'm not saying there can't be another Black Panther. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is T'Challa is Boseman.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I'm saying.
Okay.
You could bring back Black Panther, but T'Challa is Boseman, and let that legacy be that legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with that, but at the same time, like, I say just let it breathe for a while. Here's the thing about these superhero movies that they do. They create these situations where the mask has to come off. That's been the one thing with like the superhero movies that's been stupid to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you have a masked character, the mask doesn't have to come off all the time.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
So in the sense of Black Panther showing up in like different, like other properties to set up Phase 4, like there's no reason why that mask has to come off. You know what I mean? And it can be tastefully done, and then we can just wait, a while, test the waters, on it, and so just wait a while for the next Black Panther movie. That definitely I think we should, but like, I mean,
because the technology is there.
I don't want to see CGI. And
no. No, the technology is there. What I'm saying from your mask perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The technology is there for essentially someone else to voice it, but to be Boseman's voice. That technology has been used already in movies. It was used in Fast and Furious. It was used in Star Wars.
I'm just going to put this out there. I feel 125% confident to put what's his face in that role? What's his name? Denzel's son.
John
Oh,
Oh
David.
man, there's so many plans for that. His star is about to be on a meteoric rise with that Tenet movie that's about to come out.
Right.
And to think about where he came from, that's like this cat was playing football 5 years ago, man, for the
Right.
USFL.
Right.
And
So
that and that league not working out got him on Ballers.
right.
Because he wouldn't have been available for the role had he still been playing football.
Right.
So I'm good with 5 years.
Okay.
And then
and right now we're still kind of in the moment. I know it's been like a week, but
yeah,
I
he even said in the speech that he did when they received the Oscar, he was like, the true success of this is if we put a 2 behind that title.
right. And I get it. It's kind of like the Batman thing where the ideal is more important than the person.
Yeah, we're gonna see how that goes when this next one comes out. Because
With the Batman,
I'm not.
I can't. There's some things we've made too many of. I think Batman's are one, Spider-Man's another.
but the recent ones have been good. It's not like
No, I get it, but it's just still too many. I
mean, it's like you said. It's like the man. The character sticks there. It's never the actor that sticks around long enough, except if you're Hugh Jackman, which is about to get recast real fucking quick.
Right.
I wish that person the best of luck.
Yeah, and that's testing the waters right there.
Like every person who's tried to be the Joker since.
But like we said, I mean, that's a testament to Boseman. Boseman's had one run as in his title movie. Mm-hmm. He's had I thought his performance in Civil War was fucking fantastic. If you want to talk about somebody getting a supporting acting nomination, his whole scene in Civil War is fantastic.
Well, but that's a conspiracy we could start right here. Mm-hmm. How throughout the entire 23 movies, none of the actors have been nominated for an Oscar. Like Robert Downey Jr. for Endgame alone. Should have got at least a nomination.
Mm-hmm. No, Downey Jr. I mean, he's going to end up getting one of those because of the renaissance of his career, his earlier battles and everything. He's going to get a lifetime achievement award for what he did. Of course. Right. But I just think with his movie, they created this entire superhero movie genre.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like we said, with these iconic roles, it's like you got to throw Boseman in there. Downey Jr., there will never be another Tony Stark.
Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Boseman, Jackman as Wolverine. You could sit there and go back and forth about the Christopher Reeve maybe as the Superman, because there hasn't been. Although I'm a big Henry Cavill fan, I think he's
done well. I think he's been done crappy by the writing and directing of the movies that he's done.
Not to mention, you want to talk about CGI?
Mustache Jake.
Horrible. I can't wait to see what the Zack Snyder cut has for us.
I have no interest in the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah. Not to stray off too far.
I like Henry better as The Witcher.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it.
It's good.
It's so good.
It's great. You can't watch it with Matthew, but it's great.
I can't. Thanks for the heads up.
I literally watched it and immediately downloaded the game. I was like, okay, I gotta do this.
Yeah, you can't. Thank you for giving me a heads up. Don't do me like my uncle did me when Boogie Nights came out. He's like, it's a movie about roller disco.
Oh, no.
Like, oh yeah. The first 10 seconds. I'm like, this ain't about the disco. Here goes my little sister and my cousin. I was 15, 16, so they were like 14. I was like, look what you did. Now you have to go explain to their mothers why you showed them this porn. You took us to see a porn.
But before we move on, I just want to make sure that we know, the impact in the last, I would say 30 days. We've lost Boseman, John Thompson, and John Lewis.
Yeah.
Those are major hits to the culture.
And I think that's why I'm like on that side when I say 2020 sucks. It's because it's like death is natural. We get it. But when it starts hitting people that are icons, when you believe that representation matters in this world, and you're seeing that these huge faces that you want to see out there that represent the community, represent the movement, it's like one after the other seem to keep falling. It's like,
correct. And then I think we need to, and unfortunately, be realistic about our views going forward about this, because like in the case of Thompson and Lewis, let's go outside of Tom Seaver and others, like those were baby boomers.
yeah,
That whole generation, this kind of thing as it relates to that generation, we're going to be sitting here watching that for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I can't get in the sense of it's only 2020 that sucks. I mean, if we're looking at just in that window, 2021 is going to suck. 2022 is going to suck. 2023 is going to suck. Right now, we're just all on this big pause right now. And unfortunately, that's the only thing we're able to see. And nothing.
I think that I would tend to agree with you because of what's going on around us right now. I think it's a bigger impact than it would be if things were just moving as normal.
Right. And, you're blending in, the recent announcements of the week, with The Rock, his family, AJ, and other people who have, come forward, even Kevin Hart, last week, said he had it, tried to, keep it under wraps and stuff like that. That blending in with people who are passing, it feels hit after hit. And just when you feel like we're getting up, we get another hit. And these weren't even COVID.
Right. That's the other takeaway that I get from this. It's like we all got our eyes on COVID, and cancer is like, hey, guess what?
Oh, I'm still here
longer.
Bro. I'm still here, bro. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we got a big old list to go over, though.
We do, but thoughts once again, so we can close this out. Thoughts and prayers go out to all the families that have suffered immeasurable losses, and to the fans and everywhere. We'll get through this together.
Yeah,
as we always do. But speaking of list, like you said, there's a list that came out.
The list.
We love lists.
The list.
I like the fact that we had a chance to let this breathe for about a week. Because we just had two like crazy weeks of just like wrestling news alone. With everything. So the fact that we kind of let this breathe for a week, and I'm kind of looking back over this because I have questions now that it's like really set. You know what I'm saying? There were some things that, I kind of waiting on because I don't subscribe. So I was kind of, okay, well, maybe there's something I'm missing here. But now we let this sit for a week. Now I have some questions I want to pose to you guys.
Cool.
Well, first of all, this list was very indie heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Which I appreciate. But at the same time, I'm wondering what happened on the back end here.
I think just the rise of indie wrestling happened. And we've been talking about that since the podcast began.
Yeah.
With social media, YouTube, NWA, ROH. I'll give, you got to give WWE and AEW some credit as well because they've brought in indie stars or the stars of indie.
Right.
That has, and made note of where they came from when they bring them in. I mean, people like Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, who grinded before they got to WWE, and just the rise of AEW itself kind of brought attention to wrestling as a whole all over the place. And just like we were saying last year where, it became situations where you just couldn't get enough of it. You know, you had StarCast. You know, we had, you know, every event became like a weekend of events. WrestleMania weekend, you know, where you went last year. I mean, you could tell us wrestling was everywhere in that area.
You didn't have to do anything WWE related, and you still had a full weekend worth of wrestling to take advantage of.
Correct. So I mean, and you know, there's a bunch of things that over the last couple of years have led to the rise, at least of attention to indie wrestling. Mm-hmm. So people aren't just going, you know, to WWE shows; they're going to other shows, which, you know, can, you know, kind of give evidence to why possibly WWE live show attendance was declining over the last couple of years, because they're choosing to go to more of these other shows than the WWE shows. Why spend $50 to go to a WWE show when you can go to, you know, a Warrior Wrestling, spend $15 and be just 50, as entertained?
That same 50 to get you a seat, a shirt,
yep.
meet and greet, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
More accessible.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about that for a while, even when it applies to other sports. It's like you're gonna go where it's more affordable, and you can pay for an experience rather just than an entry fee to these things.
Shout out to the Chicago Dogs.
Yeah, Chicago Dogs is a huge proponent of that, giving back to the community when it comes to what you pay for. And that grilled cheese still gives me, like, I'm still dreaming about eating the grilled cheese like that.
And I mean, there are other little things, you know, that helped as it relates. I mean, one of the things I'll say is kind of the lead up to AEW Dynamite, when they were doing, you know, popping up at indie shows, you know, that made you feel like anything could happen at a show.
Right.
So you went to them. And WWE was teasing the same thing when they were playing with Evolve. You know, you go to an Evolve show, you never know who would pop up. And just the intertwining of different brands that was happening over the last year with, you know, ROH, you know, having their relationships with New Japan, NWA. You were just able to see the stars that you wanted to see anywhere. I mean, I think one of the testaments to this list is there are 500 names on this list. And while a lot of them are indie stars, at least for me, I'm familiar with most of them, where in previous years I'd have to like look them up.
Yeah.
You know, especially those of the international brands. But this year, yeah, there are 500 names, but you could confidently go through and not only know them, but you can look through the list where, okay, this kind of makes sense of where they are on the list.
Mm-hmm. So, segue into placement, Jon Moxley, number 1.
Hard to dispute it with the year that he's had. I mean, consider his 2019 or the year prior.
I honestly would have flipped him and Jericho. From an impact of wrestling.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where I kind of want to not spend too much time with, but like get into like the rubric and how it matches the list. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it may not be that obvious at the top, because I think you could flip-flop some names there. Like, for example, Sean's pick for number one last year was Adam Cole, which is at number 2. My pick, Will Ospreay at 21.
But according to this list too, go ahead.
And we were basing it off of like work rate and, you know, it's an impact that shows. We know that Adam Cole killed, like he had a crazy 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was just him just back to back. So you can make that argument. I don't know where we put Moxley on that list, but number 1 is deserving, but also interesting, kind of for the reason that Sean is kind of alluding to with like Jericho. So it's maybe not so obvious when you look at the top of the list, but when you start getting towards the middle, when the women start showing up, that's when it starts getting like really blatant as to what something happened. Something is going on.
Right. Because they did do 2 separate lists this year, which they announced last year that
Right.
they were going to bring the women into this list. I feel the women should have been higher on this list.
Right.
Because I think we've been saying at least over the last few episodes that, especially in WWE, but we can argue in other brands as well, like Impact, the women are carrying wrestling. At least the attention factor. And, you know, again, I can't remember. Well, they say this is from July.
July
To
20.
July. You know, someone like a Charlotte, or, Bailey, who basically had the belt for that period of time. I don't know. And then Impact, Tessa hasn't wrestled in 6 months, so it's kind of hard to look at her.
Well,
But
let's be crystal clear about what we're looking at. We're not looking at any WWE women at all on this list.
mm-mm.
Like, that's the elephant in the room here. With respects to the women that are on this list, shout out to Kylie Ray being the first woman on the list. Chicago's very own.
And that's impactful for one very important reason.
Mm-hmm.
She is the highest woman on the list and never held a major title that entire year.
Right.
But she's been all over the place.
No. I'm not arguing that.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's like, part of the thing that we're not kicking into account to is that the pandemic hit in February? So you got to see all of these indie sites streaming because you had nowhere else to go. So a lot of their numbers, a lot of their matches, when they were trying to hold these matches, it was on, on these wrestling websites that they could stream. So you're exposed to a lot more different brands than you would be if you were, if we were operating normally, because it's just available to. What else are you gonna do, right?
Right.
Stay home.
This. So let's just give the flowers where flowers are due. Kylie Ray being the first woman to hit the list. Congratulations to Kylie Ray, Chicago's very own. We're always going to support her. I find it funny and, tickle myself that she hit over Tessa Blanchard. You're talking about work rate. I think it has something to do with something else.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still funny when you look at that compared to the rubric that they're using in order to even get on this list.
Right.
Faye Jackson at 160, first black woman to hit the list. You know what I'm saying? We also got Lainey Luck further down on the list. So, notable women are on here that are doing their thing. And like I said, it's more indie than it is mainstream. While there is still a Deonna Purrazzo out there, while there is still a Hikaru Shida out there, Nyla Rose is out there, you know what I mean? But if you look at the rubric and you look at the history that they're making, and you don't have a Sasha Banks on here, that says something completely different to me.
Yeah,
I've been saying, and I've been saying this because we kind of hit on it a little bit earlier when we were talking. I've been saying this for a while, and I think this is just me, but this is just my theory that's starting to spread just a little bit. The WWE is not a wrestling company.
I don't think that has anything to do with this list personally. Because if that's the case, Adam Cole wouldn't be number 2.
Yeah, I see that, but Adam Cole's NXT.
I got you. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think NXT is a wrestling company anymore. Based on the bookings since they went to USA.
So, I'm reading the stuff here, and it says the wrestlers must meet the following requirements for activity to be considered for a ranking: 20 matches during the evaluation period, which is July 1st to June 30th, or at least 1 match in 7 separate months. Exceptions were made for wrestlers who were on track to complete these requirements prior to COVID-19, which started in January, February. And it says, which is an interesting note, also considered on a case-by-case basis, wrestlers whose careers were impacted by speaking out allegations. So I'm like, oh, okay.
But see, and that doesn't make sense to me, considering Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll in the top 100.
So is Velveteen Dream.
Correct.
Marty Scurll is 88 and Velveteen is 90. Yeah, that doesn't make too much sense to me.
I mean, it's an uncomfortable line that was drawn there.
And it was at the
I'm not going to get into it, but it's
yeah.
Just know that you got to draw the line somewhere, and it's not going to be comfortable where you have to draw that line. If you consider those individual cases, but we don't need to go there because the bulk of the people that you would expect to be on this list that were impacted by that are not on here. So,
yeah, for sure. That's crazy, though. I mean, after the year that Bayley had,
I'm just saying,
with all those title defenses, and they weren't like shit matches. I mean, they were pretty damn good.
Gosh,
Becky,
all together.
it was like
Asuka. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's like, wow, really?
It seems like more of a statement towards the WWE women's division. Nah, man. I can't buy that with so many people from WWE on this list, especially in the top 10.
I got you. We're going to timestamp it. We're going to see how it happens down the line. Maybe I started the movement. And you got to start cutting them somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
I do like Roman Reigns. How does Roman Reigns cover this list?
Because he had he had seen that before COVID-19 hit. And he was wrestling straight from June all the way up until January. So
was he?
That's about 6. Yes, he was.
Dog food.
Dog food, SummerSlam finally winning. Yeah, all this stuff. Yeah, he was very active.
He literally ate dog food to get on this list.
So is that the new rubric, part of the rubric? Well, how do you feel about dog food? Dry or wet?
Roman would just
I
say
love
stick on the throat.
Yeah.
And then and also booking, booking can't be involved with this. Because Shinsuke's in the top 30. I'm saying,
I don't
even
want to try. Yeah, I don't get that.
I mean, Roderick Strong. I don't know.
Roderick Strong always had to sub in whenever Duke had to
Right, Bobby Fish had a knee thing.
When did Kofi lose his belt? It was fall of last year, right?
I know the
September?
date, October 4th. That's when the first day of SmackDown, October 4th.
He barely fucking wrestled during this time.
Look at Xavier Woods.
That's
Xavier Woods been out with an ACL for 6 months.
It was the Achilles.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
But still, same shit. It's like, yo, he's been gone half. Your list doesn't make sense.
That would be because that can draw from this.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's
Finn Balor was gone for a while too because he had taken some time off, and he got married, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying. It's if it's not favoritism, it's politics. It's one or the other.
Pac.
I think it's politics, kid.
Oh, it's definitely.
Pac's been wrestling.
Well, Baron Corbin, by all means, he should be fucking number one. If you're talking about how many matches he's had, he's on every single feud from SmackDown since the dog food. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, this is what doesn't make sense. And we're going to leave it. I'm going to leave it here. Otis is 69. Okay? Otis is 69. I'm going to go down here until I find somebody.
That's for him.
Big E is 101.
Leo Rush is 99. Didn't John Morrison come back in October?
Yeah.
Like late October? I don't get it. Alley Cat? She's 110?
Yeah, she's been killing it on the Indies.
She has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get this list. Shorty G. That's a shot. They actually kept him with Shorty G. Fucking Chad Gable.
I mean, to me, favoritism means like the guys who put together this list decided to just go who they rock with versus what makes sense. Politics means that there was some outside source that was influencing the list. So take from
Sean Spears is barely wrestled. We see him more on Instagram posts working out than we actually see him on.
Nah, he be rocking
anything.
dark, man. He be rocking dark.
Yeah.
Well, you
they got like a whole roster that only does dark.
Well, at least they didn't separate Montez and Angelo Dawkins, even though they destroyed the Raw tag team scene. They got them at 154 and 157 respectively.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love Faye Jackson. Faye Jackson should have been 69 with her comment the other day.
You see what I tweeted her?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hold on.
I saw that.
Come on.
This is funny. Oh man, he's busting something out. Pause.
Yeah, my apologies. I didn't have it prepared for the show, but I will have it prepared for when JB gets in the third grade. I do have a signed autograph picture of Faye Jackson that he's going to use for his book report about the first black woman to make the PWI 400 list.
Yes.
Black History Month. So
we got to be there. Like me and Sean got to be there in the background as he presents it, like the Proud Uncles.
Yeah.
All the book reports. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why lists are dumb.
Yeah, I don't get this.
You know another thing about this list I just noticed as well?
What's that?
You know who you don't see on this list? Any women from Impact.
And they've got arguably the strongest women's division,
except for Kylie.
Except for now.
Yeah, right.
Because
she's only been at Impact according to this criteria for 3 months. So that I don't know if we can even count that.
Yeah, I mean, and well, the same thing with Deonna Purrazzo. You can't really put her on the list because what was she doing in NXT during the entire time, right?
She was doing house shows. Hey, half these people on this list. That's that's true.
That's also very true. Everybody's got snacks, huh? Meanwhile, I got my mic on mute every other 10 seconds because my stomach's like, ah.
Do what you gotta do.
I'm about to order something.
Yeah. Well, you can take a look. You can take a little intermission because me and Sean got to talk about the old neighborhood real quick. Just real quick.
Man.
What the hell is going on with Rogers Park, man?
Rogers Park been in the news too much.
Way too much.
First, we'll start with tornadoes. We talked about that already.
Did you guys get your T-shirt that said "I survived the Rogers Park tornado"?
No, because I'm not going to represent something that ain't true. I wasn't there. My daughter was looking out the window. She wasn't there.
I survived the Rogers Park Latin Kings. How about that? Over there by the little fruit meat market over there on Rogers Park.
Yeah. Oh man.
Now it's gotten to the point they spray paint "We hate gentrification" on people's store windows.
So let's go back because didn't like the lake eat like a third of the beach?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a And they still just say to this day, unnamed benefactor who gave $3 million towards, helping that out. But I mean, that's mother nature, G. I mean, we lived over there. Like, this was bound to happen. Just the way the beach is set up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a benefit for a lot of people for a lot of time, to live that close to the beach. But it's not like the lakefronts downtown where you got these big barriers keeping you between, the water and the, your buildings. I mean, everything else just.
Then a tornado uprooted about 106 trees.
For sure.
Specifically.
And the reason why this is on the list is because there was an apartment fire that took place about a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
That was in the news, and we come to find out this will be the home of a couple of freelance stars, GPA and Lainey Luck.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their fire wasn't where it started, but of course, fire spread, and their home was impacted. And coincidentally, which is actually weird, the building that the fire was in was next door to a building I lived in for 3 years, right off Wayne. So,
yeah,
because I used to live right next to Morris Giros, and I really hate the fact that was my first thought. That they better not burn down Morris Giros.
Take the 106 trees, but don't take my gyros.
Yo, you don't know nothing about that spot, yo. There's hip hop videos from that spot, yo.
gyros and super tacos and roasted chicken, yo.
Right. Let me tell you something, Ray. This is real talk here. From that corner, all right?
Sound like my old uncle by telling me this story.
Yeah, that's cool.
Come here, let me tell you this story.
And Roddy could attest to this. Everything around that corner has been gentrified, torn down, and rebuilt, with the exception of Morris Giros and JB Alberto's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything else has been ripped up, been 3 different businesses, turned into condos, torn down, rebuilt.
I'm familiar with the JB Alberto's. We've had them actually right before her friend left. We had that pizza, so I love that pizza. That pizza's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
but it's I saw it happening because I used to live right there on Jonquil and Howard, which was Jonquil and Ashland.
Yeah,
and that shit started. The gentrification started around 2000. Because remember, that park district wasn't there. They built a park.
Well, there was a park there. Kiwanis Park was there. Right, it was a smaller park.
Small park.
But the messed up thing is that, because I remember, because this hits hard as well. When they made that park, they tore down the basketball courts and they tore down the field house.
Those basketball courts were fucking dope because that's where I used to go.
So that's what ripped a little part of the soul out of the neighborhood, because that park used to host free day camps for all the kids in the neighborhood. Jim Hobson, who is he's now retired, but he's a legend over here, also at Garfield Park, because Jim Hobson was the guy who started the Midnight Leagues in Garfield Park.
Mm.
So when they tore up Kiwanis Park, he literally came back, was what the hell are y'all doing?
They tore down the park. They tore down that strip mall, or that mini strip mall that was the 24-hour. Yeah,
because there's a White Hen there. There's a laundromat.
Yep.
And they all did it basically for the school, which was stupid as hell. Because I don't know. It's that beautification, gentrification bullshit.
What was that?
Yeah.
Field? They did it. They did it for Eugene Field.
No, Gale.
No.
We're talking on Howard. We're talking on Howard.
Gale.
On
okay.
Howard. Yeah, because Eugene Field is down.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it used to be that KFC there. It used to be all this kind of shit there. And then they tore it all down. And all they did was make a park around the damn school for it.
Yep.
And the people that develop it, that's why me and Joe Moore, we still got beef to this day. He was like, we're doing it for the safety of the kids of Gale by making a park, because people were, hanging out outside the fucking white hand and starting shit at KFC. We're like, man, shut up. Like, it's money, and we get it. You know, you know.
I mean,
the people you wanted to build the condos for, you know, because they tore Howard Street just leaves a big sore spot, even worse than Morris Avenue, because that part of the gentrification, they tore down community resources. They tore down community resources like Wisdom Bridge Theater. They gutted Howard Theater, Kiwanis Park. These were things that, you know, the community was actively using, you know, and actively had programs for youth throughout the year, not just during the summer, and didn't replace them with anything. They're viable. And it's, you know, most of the parks that were in the Howard Street area are now just not there anymore.
Right.
There used to be a small park that I used to go to, Paulina, just north of Jacquill. That's now a new condo complex.
Yep.
It's just, it's insane. Like, and
just look at Clark. Look at all the shit on Clark. I bet you that fucking Pizza Hut delivers now. Because when I used to live there, they said they straight out told me and my mom. I remember putting that shit on speakerphone so my mom can hear. Sorry, we don't deliver to the jungle, and hung up on me. I'm like, yo, I'm 4 blocks away. What are you talking about?
No,
I'll meet them 2 blocks up.
Well, another big story that, like, again, if you from that area, it just rips a hole in your heart, is the Adelphi Theater.
Yeah.
Right off at Estes and Clark. They used to hold like dollar Saturday cartoons for people to, you know, for the kids to come through. Man, they gutted that thing like, man, I think like 95, and promised people for years they were going to rebuild it. That thing is still a vacant lot.
And you can see it all across the city, like these little spots that we grew up like just cherishing and loving to death. It's like, it's a fucking condo now.
But I mean, like, Rogers Park used to be this big art community.
Right.
Like, it in my opinion, you know, it could be disputed. Like, Rogers Park was like the far north version of Logan Square.
Yeah.
At least that's what we're trying to make it.
Yeah. It had multiple storefront like theaters for like plays and stuff like that. All but one are gone. Only the Lifeline still exists, and that's barely. Heartland gone. It's just, and all the community restaurants they were in that area, like family-owned restaurants, they're all gone.
All gone.
All of them.
All of them. It's tough to watch, especially like with you guys with Rogers Park, and I grew up in Humboldt Park area and kind of moved all over the place at that point, you know, once, you know, my parents split up and stuff like that. So it's tough. It's just tough watching these. And
now it's a community with no identity. Like, real talk, it just doesn't have an identity, because things that they tried in the early 2000s failed. Those companies moved out, and now they're just something else, or it's just not there at all.
Yeah.
You know, and the area around Loyola University is like, it looks like a damn mall over there now, man.
Completely changed. It looks like it's fucking Skokie. Let's just be real. Like an east extension of fucking Skokie that goes all the way to the lake. Because it's like literally a bunch of storefronts that you would never seen before.
It's every mall commercial brand that you can think of has popped up there. And now they're putting a Target over there for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, because the college students, they need supplies and, you know, pumpkin spice lattes from.
But that's the funny thing. The college kids are against it,
and they've always been there. And that's what they come up with this false fucking message that, we listen to the community. No, you don't fucking listen to the community. You don't listen to shit. Nobody You think anybody in fucking Logan Square wanted them to tear down the fucking Mega Mall to put up, even if it wasn't in fucking use? You want to tear it down to put up a bunch of condos and another Target that's about 5 minutes away from another Target, a super Target? It doesn't make any sense. And then you raise the property taxes for these mom and pop businesses, like we said, in Rogers Park, in Logan Square, and these people got to move out. And then what are you going to put? Another, like, a artisanal coffee shop? Nobody in Logan Square wants that shit. It's like, it's representation matters, right? Fucking aldermen are always in it for themselves.
That being said, if you buy any merch from GPA or Laney Luck off of Pro Wrestling Tees or wherever they sell that merch, I think it will definitely help them out a lot. I know they got a lot of support over the past couple of weeks, and I hope that they are doing well.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and buy a GPA shirt right now. Just like I was going to buy the Jay White. So now I got reason to buy 2 shirts.
There you go.
All right. Rod, I guess there are new rules for being a wrestling fan now.
Well, I wanted to kind of have a kind of open discussion about what do you think the new rules are. With everything that's happened this year, everything that we've been exposed to, from COVID to speaking out, to Black Lives Matter, and now we're entering this new realm where fans are starting to enter, say come back to wrestling shows. And in October, pretty much the indies are back. UCW, which is the governing body for a lot of different independent shows, like what's his face's Gay Brunch, and the Black Wrestlers Matter shows. Those are going to be coming back in October. I think Freelance put something out there saying that they're starting to run shows in October.
Yeah.
The engagement is different.
Before we continue, because we are talking about wrestling shows coming back.
Right.
I want to give a tip of the cap to Evolve Wrestling. Reason I'm giving a tip of the cap because Booker Gabe, who created Evolve, officially put it out there that Evolve's done. And Evolve quietly was a big proponent to the rise of indie wrestling. So it's a testament to what's going on right now. Because some people are coming back and some people are not.
Right.
For various reasons. Now we know Evolve's been working with WWE for years, and it is what it is. But there are other wrestling organizations who couldn't make it through this pandemic. Wrestle Circus was one of them. A few others. It's great to see wrestling coming back, but it's a shame that not all of them could. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So before all of this started happening, we were having this kind of back and forth between fans and promotions in terms of the newer ways that fans are interacting at shows and interacting with like other performers and wrestlers. Like there was already problems that were being brought to the head and being handled, whether they were being handled the right way or the wrong way. And then we all had to sit down for a minute. So whereas wrestling promotions have to think about how we as fans can be a part of those promotions going forward, in terms of just being safe and being respectful. It's I think it's something from a fan perspective of what are the things that we have to be mindful of going back into wrestling fandom to kind of support these promotions that we want to continue to enjoy in this new world order.
I think the first question you have to ask yourself as you move forward as a wrestling fan, and definitely as an adult wrestling fan.
Exactly. This is for the adults, by the way.
Do you care more about the art or the artist? And if it's the art, can you shut off your mind to what you hear about the artist? Meaning, if all you want to do is be entertained, just watch the shows and shut the fuck up. Don't look at the hot sheets. Don't open your Twitter. Don't follow your favorite stars. Because once those lines are blurred, it's hard to just be entertained.
Right.
I'll use an example just recently for myself, and that's AJ Styles. I love watching AJ Styles perform. But some of the things that have come out of his mouth lately has made it hard for me to like watching him on TV. People like Velveteen Dream, Matt Riddle, entertaining to watch. But you can't ignore what you're hearing from concerned people who are, bringing up these allegations against them. And it impacts how you view what you see on TV. It just does.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take something really simple, just as Justin Roberts announcing aid at AEW events. He was part of the speaking out. He had accusations about engaging in conversations with minors on the internet. We never really got there. He just disappeared for 30 days and he came back.
Yep.
And this goes to other areas of the world too. I mean, shit. Brian Urlacher shook our world a couple weeks ago. Now I can never think about him the same. So as a wrestling fan, you really have to make that decision. Like, if I'm in this just to be entertained, you got to shut yourself off to the rest, if that's all you want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're like what I would think us to be, where we kind of have to look at the bigger picture, how can we, for example, Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks has never had a successful title defense. Now, from an art standpoint, we could look at that as a part of her character that she could never defend her title, a character flaw. That happens in art all over the place. But if we're looking at the artist, looking at the big picture from a horticulture standpoint, now we see a Black woman who can never get over. So now we have a responsibility to focus our attention, because as you brilliantly said, attention is currency, towards making sure that the WWE knows, or that wrestling knows, we don't find that acceptable. Or give Naomi a chance thing that, happened when she was losing over and over and over again, or just not being booked the way she should. Those are the things you have to look at as a wrestling fan. And I mean, just going to shows, that's a personal decision at this point. How you feel safe, and do you take your family?
Well, there's a lot more to unpack there that I want to get to. The last thing that we've been seeing on Twitter, which kind of actually sparked this idea of having this conversation. There's a couple of people on Twitter who have been putting together a scrapbook, if you will, of photographs of uncomfortable interactions with female wrestling stars and male fans. Something that I felt like was being addressed before COVID and before speaking out, that kind of just went by the wayside. And now that we're here and we're getting ready to be back into this space, that being more like, hey, let's not forget about this. This was a problem as well.
Absolutely.
What are we doing about this? I'm going back and I'm thinking about those fan interactions with superstars where words are exchanged and saying people are being escorted out or in the back, and the whole Bully Ray situation, or like the situation with Scarlett, or what's her face, the other one, like she said something to the guy and he spit on her and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like, while we're here and we're hitting the reset button on everything, we definitely need to hit the reset button on your expectations as a fan. Should you start, even if going back to the shows and even just interacting with like people online on Twitter? I think it's changed now, and it's like a new standard that should be set in terms of respect. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Sean, in terms of what so what you really being entertained by, the art or the artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's two different roads that you can go down, and I think there's rules to each. I'm not sure what is and what isn't appropriate now at wrestling shows. Let's start with like what to chant. So now we have this situation where WWE does the virtual fans. We see it working for the most part, but then we clearly see the things that are not working. And we also now know, I suspect it, but it's just coming out in the recent weeks. Well, this past week has come out that when you show up as a virtual fan, now, because of the few bad apples out there, now you are being produced. Now you are being told you should cheer now, you should boo now.
Well, that goes to especially when it comes to WWE, that goes to your point of WWE being an entertainment company.
Mm.
Now, when you go to shows, your live audience for like comedy shows, sitcoms, shit to that effect,
right.
Even talk shows, you're encouraged, to participate or be an active,
right.
Audience member. Where I draw the line is something WWE especially has done for a long time, and that is censor its audience. I'm gonna go back to that gentleman. I apologize, I don't know his name. Who, as a virtual audience member, essentially held up a sign that said "Fire Velveteen Dream," and was effectively banned by WWE for being a virtual audience member. From a business standpoint, I get it, but as a service to your fans, I don't get it, and I don't find it to be acceptable.
Exactly. It's kind of like a Wild Wild West situation that we're looking at. This is all new.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, like, there are some standards that are going to have to be set. So here's another story. Tony Khan addresses the crowd, the first 10% of the capacity of people that were allowed to watch AEW Dynamite. He comes out before the show and asks them politely to kind of curve what you chant, because we're on television. Saying try to stay away from the curses and things like that.
Yeah.
And there was a debate about it. That's the story that I'm drawing from it. That
there
was literally a 50% debate on whether or not that was corny or whether or not that was necessary.
I mean,
now that I'm okay with, because I how do I say, censorship and respect are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking the crowd to be respectful. That's different than censoring them.
correct.
That's
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I've always felt either one or two things. If we're going to bring kids to wrestling events, either you have a conversation with your kid about what they're going to see,
mm-hmm.
and what they should take from it, and should I say not take from it, or make the conscious decision not to have families at wrestling events.
Yeah.
Like, frankly,
Yeah.
freelance wrestling, something me and you have gone to many times. While we would love to bring our nephew, we know it's not nephew appropriate.
And I would probably break somebody's jaw.
That might be another thing that might happen.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? That's a decision we'll make as parents and uncles, right? Some people don't make that decision.
Yeah, part of being an adult, right? Making those hard decisions.
Exactly.
They come to a wrestling event with their children, yet expect the attitude era when they get there. Those two eras don't mix. Back when the attitude era was happening, there were no kids in the audience.
Oh no.
It was a frat house mentality. I mean, there may have been some kids, but it wasn't anywhere close to you had it, when John Cena was, at the top.
Look at all the blowback we used to get for just doing this.
Right.
Cool. It was for mature audiences only at that point.
And that's when it comes to like looking at your audience. I mean, when we went to the AEW show, we didn't see a ton of families.
No. You saw the same type of faces all over the place.
Right. But that lends to the audience that they're attracted based on the product that they had. And it's never really shied away from that. And that's okay, but you can still ask your audiences to be respectful in that regard.
Right. I'm just saying, how much of a trickling effect do you think that'll have? Because I think now it's one thing for AEW to operate at 10-15% capacity in respects to COVID. It's a completely different situation to ask any promotion going into the winter to operate at 25% capacity, saying to still be able to run shows. I think that the next goal, I think for any indie promotion, the next goal is to either get their guys signed to a major or to graduate into some sort of a major themselves. And whereas it's a little bit easier to film things and get things like, say, on YouTube or whatever, but it's still an entry into FCC. It's still an entry into things that you can and can't do. And wrestling fans being the most liberal fans of any entertainment, situation like ever. Like, how far does the adult wrestling fan have to check themselves in order to continue to be a wrestling fan from 2020 on? Is basically a question.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with the indies because I think wrestling in general is about to get more expensive.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right.
Especially because of the capacity limits. And it's going to become an exclusivity type of affair.
Yeah, this is what we talked about like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I think that exclusivity is going to outprice, how I say, the offended.
Mm-hmm.
As it relates to the indies. If you're only packing with like 100, we'll say 100 people, charging them, $50 a pop, you're not going to be able to tell those people what they can't say.
Exactly.
They are going for that experience, like freelance. Freelance has a very specific experience where you can say whatever the fuck you want because that's part of the show. And that's what you're paying for. There definitely has to be, and that's specifically to the indies. Now, others, there's a difference because it's of the exposure to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because something like what happened to Scarlett or the chance we've seen on WWE, that can't happen on a mainstream TV show and people still keep their sponsors. But at indies, it's going to have it. I hate to say it. The indies are going to become, I would say, even more over the line, if that makes sense, because of the higher price range that they have to charge.
So it's going to be more of a struggle. Because let's be clear, Speaking Out took out some of those indies as well.
Correct.
Not COVID.
Yep.
You know
Our Wrestling's one of them.
And the rest of them, the coalition of the rest of them, and freelancers included, because I know they've been in conversations with these other independents that are going to continue to move forward. They already have to look at situations like we have to have separate locker rooms. We have to have these things in place to make sure that everybody's safe. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be more of it's going to be more of a struggle, and that's why it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to happen on that level. Because at the same time, you're right. Like if I'm paying more money, I get to do more of what I want to do at these shows, or either that, or there's going to be some sort of filter process where I'm the type of person that doesn't get to go to these shows anymore because of the type of person that I am at these shows.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that? Hold on. Okay. How that's going to affect revenue and how that's going to affect, who else gets to stay in the game going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And will there be a super underground sort of situation? Because we also have this same coalition that is getting airtime on IWTV. There's regulations there that are also going to get tighter.
Mm-hmm.
I think for every promotion that wants to play ball, those situations look less like a show where you just pay a ticket to and participate, and more like you're part of a production, you're part of a TV set.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to follow these rules too. And you also have to pay a premium for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're right.
So to the respectful adult pro wrestling fan and to the asshole adult pro wrestling fan, this looks a lot different for us. And, so we're just a small show talking to a small audience. But I think, since everybody who hears this, I think you need to think about exactly what that money's going to pay for going forward. For some people, it may be a more inclusive experience because you're going to be made more. You're going to feel like you're part of something bigger than just a wrestling show. And for other people, you're probably not going to get in the door. Sure. Or you're going to be made an example out of, and they're going to keep that higher rate of money that you just paid to get into the show.
Especially with these indie companies, like, freelance and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs, especially in terms of with the speaking out movement, it needs to be a safer environment to welcome, because there is a ton of hardcore female wrestling fans.
Yes.
There needs to be a very strict policy. I want to see, one of the things I want to see progressively is that term, the ring rats. I want to see that gone.
Right. And that's something that, is more on the adult fan than it is on the promotion.
Exactly. But I mean, at the same time, the promotion needs to have zero tolerance with that bullshit. It's like with everything that's gone wrong, with everything that's happened, everything that's been reported, there needs to be, on the promotion side, what are you doing with that premium money? What are you doing to create that environment, that welcoming environment where a female fan doesn't have to sit there and look over her shoulder because a couple of dudes are sitting there snickering because they think that they're there to, mess around with somebody's favorite wrestler. And that shit needs to stop.
I,
Everybody
I
needs to be, they need to be responsible consumers, and at the same time, the promotion needs to be a hell of a lot more accountable for who they, like you said, it needs to be a stricter, like a vetting process when it comes. Yo, as soon as you see this guy and you know he's makes the indie rounds and he's doing this shit, ban him from all. Why can't they? Maybe we start a little like a networking thing like we had with the security directors for the security.
And that's what I'm saying, because I feel like before, leading up to this, indie promotions were indie promotions,
Right.
but now these indie promotions kind of have to band together. I'm
Yeah.
referring back to GCW and everything that's happening under their umbrella.
Absolutely.
I think we're gonna see more of that now, because there needs to be these kind of, I don't want to say governing bodies, but like
There needs to be
a
something.
community council of, wrestling promotions that all, they have the same branding because they all follow the same rules, and you're going to get a similar experience.
There needs to be just something kind of like a check and balance system. We do it with, I mean, coming from my field, there needs to be something to keep these repeat offenders from going to promotion and causing this type of problem, where it's gonna, not only that, but the promotions need to be aware this jackass that you've kicked out of this show is gonna cost you money, because now that family or those female wrestler hardcore fans that just bought about $100 worth of merchandise at your table, not to mention the $50 tickets to get in, are not coming back. And now you have to explain that to your talent that you brought in here.
Because I'm looking at the situation too. I'm looking at like the situation where, Sean, we were at the one freelance show and the guy was wilding out in front of me and spilled the beer on me. You know what I'm saying? For $20, for $20, that's fine. Like, you get what you pay for. For $50, I don't want to see this guy. You know what I mean?
Right. I think we're on the right track. I just think the power is not in the promotion's hands as much as it's in the wrestlers' hands. And this is why. I unfortunately, because of the fact that so many companies are struggling to make it, I don't see them working together as much. What I do see is the fact that now wrestlers have the power in their hands. And this list that we just went over created that power, because they created that exposure to them, as into, I'm not going to wrestle for you unless these safety measures are in place. And I think that's where that control is going to come from. Mm-hmm. It's going to come from the Kylie Rays of the world, who knows her being on the ticket is going to sell seats. And her telling the promoter, I'm not coming until those measures are in place.
Yeah.
That's a power that in indie wrestling, a lot of wrestlers didn't have to this point. Now they have that power, especially female wrestlers, especially the top female wrestlers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, because now because of this power, it just exposes how dirty this was before 2020.
Correct.
Why weren't these provisions made in the first place? Why is it that it took an entire movement for you to change your ways at this time? And it seems like we're talking about this with every single movement that's happening. Why hasn't this been in place? Why is it that something that you would think is such common sense isn't practiced by these people, but they're sure as hell take your money left and right? It's just, I absolutely agree with you. It's absolutely in the power of the independent contractors at this point, and to kind of take a stand on it. And you know what? The only way you're going to make them feel it is when you make them feel it in their pockets. And if you stop showing up to these events, and people are not paying the premium prices to come and see Joe Schmo wrestling from local Indiana or something like that, it's going to hurt. Change is eventually, it's coming. It's not if, it's when. And as we saw it, amongst other brands, it's like once you hurt them with the pockets, that's when you really start getting people's attention, especially the higher ups.
and especially with especially with these indie companies, because we're when and if these companies come back, every show is going to matter.
Yeah.
Because they know the next show is not guaranteed. And and we haven't even talked about the safety measures that will have to be in place for fans as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we said, COVID is not going away, and October is flu season. That's how adult wrestling is going to change. How do you get admittance into a Logan Square arena? We've been in that hallway. I'm dead serious. We've been in that hallway.
There's no social distancing on the fucking sidewalk.
I'm just saying, like we've been there.
We've been in there.
How does that happen? How does that show happen? And I don't even know if we have an answer to that right now.
No, I have an idea. No holds barred matches right outside where the Eagle is. Eagle's there. And then you have everybody spaced out around the circle.
Right.
And
you're gonna freak those bums out the same way that Pokemon Go freaked those bums out. That Pokemon. They're like, yo.
I mean, with the way that they're talking about gentrifying that fucking area with that side street, anyways, you could put a ring in the middle of fucking Logan Boulevard right there. You'd be straight.
I'm not against it. It's just that
we could talk to Matt Nix and see what we can get going. We can give him some ideas. Shit, we could even do a what do you call it? Cinematic shit. There's a skate park right down the block under the viaduct. We could do some really groovy shit there.
I mean, I
honestly feel like you set it up like a television set.
Yeah.
You're not going to let so many people in. You'll let people know that they're here for this type of engagement. A smaller amount of people that pay a higher premium, that get something in advance that lets them know how to move in and out of that building. And it gets treated like an exclusive event. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, it gets produced for something that you can watch at home.
And I think another thing we have to do as adult wrestling fans is eliminate the thought process that it's going to be what it was.
Yeah, this is all going to be. There is no. No, it's going to be what
wrestling has changed. Wrestling shows have changed.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we would like to go back to that, we're nowhere close to even being in a position to do so.
I agree.
Even when wrestling starts, I mean, the Thunderdome has proved that.
Yeah.
I mean, AEW has made it work because they got literally a stadium in their back pocket that they can use whenever they want, however they want, and they get to set the rules for it.
Some places are not so fortunate. Who's if they don't get rid of that Thunderdome and make that a paid experience once the fans come back too,
I'm surprised they haven't made that a paid experience now.
Well, you got to follow suit because it's the same thing like the NBA with the Michelob Ultra, right? All you have to do is basically scan a beer. So it's like it's kind of paying for itself. They're not going to.
That's because
right now you can justify charging to put somebody on that screen. When there's paid fans, maybe if you make it a part of a fan experience, because the people then are not going to sit there and travel to WrestleMania in Tampa or in Los Angeles and pay out of their ass for these experiences.
They got them paying $150 for like what is it, 5-minute conversations with superstars now?
Yeah. I think we are very close for that. I mean, definitely from WWE. I would say at least I think they charge for pay-per-views now.
Yeah. I thought I saw that too.
So I think if we can't get back to live audiences, at some point they're gonna charge for that because there's just money to be made. People are going to pay for that. It might not be the same people that are watching it now, but people would pay to do that. Especially if they feel like they have the opportunity to be on TV from from their own couch. It's just, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we have more in the future, especially as winter hits, we're going to have more of that kind of experience. I think that's an opportunity for indie brands as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been there. Logan Square Arena can be a TV show.
It was.
Where people would pay, and they have done this already, where you could pay to stream in to watch the show. I think something more like that is coming, especially as the winter months come. Because trying to put people inside of buildings, I also think, you know, as the numbers rise, the restrictions are going to get tighter during the winter months as well. No, they're not going to loosen up. Not until a vaccine comes out and it works.
That's the thing. There's going to be a lot of people that run to this vaccine, and there's going to be a shitload of people that are going to wait to see what that first round of people, how they react to these vaccines and whatnot.
Hi, my name is Shitload of People.
Hi, I'm shitload of people as well. It's like, don't even get me started on that fucking conversation. That's something we could have offline, and then we could do it as bonus content, because that's going to be fucking nuts. How can you tell somebody got the fucking vaccine? You're going to give them a little brand or something like that? I don't get it.
I'm going to be honest with you, man.
You already know.
Based on conversations that I've sat in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I've sat in. Okay?
Wait, you want to say that on there?
Hey, no one knows where I sit, okay? You're assuming some people are going to have the choice. There are going to be companies, and quote me on this. Like, I'm not saying I've been told this, but based on conversations I have, I am confident this is going to happen. There are going to be companies that are going to mandate it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hospitality, medical field. Shit.
I'm just saying, it could be across the board, man.
It could be across the board. It's going to be across the damn board.
As long as the companies are willing to pay for that vaccine, or pay to give you access to it through your insurance, I can see multiple companies making a mandate. There are companies already that mandate getting a flu shot.
Yeah. Speaking of flu shots, we'll ask our resident household drug man. We getting flu shots this year?
Oh yeah, they already started.
No, I said, are we getting flu shots?
That's a decision, man.
I haven't gotten a flu shot since I was like 12.
And you're okay.
And that's the last time I've literally had the flu.
You also grew up in Rogers Park, though.
Drinking straight out of the water. The one when you got to put your finger on one and like drink out of the other one, yeah. That's why I keep saying, like, either I already had COVID or like.
That's what I've been operating on.
Or be asymptomatic, because it's just like.
Yeah, at this point, I've been out in the field. What? They shut us down last week of February, so it's about 7 months now. I've had it. I'm pretty confident I've had it, but it never got to the point. And I just, what else are you gonna do when you're providing for the family? You just put your head down and keep fucking working. What else?
I've been in the airport into multiple states.
I'm sure. I'm sure once it comes out, like we've all been in some contact with it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird.
I envision, especially from I'm saying all of entertainment standpoint, the simple, honor system that we have now basically is what we have. Whereas, if you're coming outside, you must not have it. And you go somewhere and they give you a temperature check. That's going to change as the vaccine comes out. That I can envision, and I'm not saying it's going to happen in wrestling. I just know in some, especially travel, you're going to have to, some companies are going to have to, they're going to mandate evidence of a vaccine for you to get on it. Will it be universally agreed upon? Maybe, maybe not. And it definitely depends on what happens in November. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Because one side is going to definitely mandate the vaccine because it benefits their friends. So you want to talk about what the adult wrestling experience is going to be? I mean, we might have to start there. How do you even get in a building?
It can't be. It's gonna have to be something with capacity to allow.
And then, and it comes down to personal preference of what would make you comfortable going to a wrestling event.
2 entry points, not just one small ass stairwell. I'm sure that's against some kind of fire fucking code.
I'm just saying, even for the wrestlers, remember the wrestlers had to come up that same stairwell as we're all standing in the stairwell.
So it's like, Logan, unfortunately, as much as I would hate to say this, it's going to be a few years before Logan Square is an optimal place to hold a wrestling show like that. You're going to have to do kind of spots like in Cicero, the auditorium that they got out there on Laramie, or, it's just, it can't be in a small, tight spot like that. You're going to get people that are not going to, they're not going to get it just because.
But that's hilarious because that's where all indie wrestling is.
And that's what's crazy about it. It's like, and
indie wrestling is high school gyms and backyard banquet halls, man.
As a responsible consumer, I would recommend do your fucking homework. It's not everything. You're gonna come out and there's gonna be some pyrotechnics for these little shows. You got to understand that these are low budget productions, but it's going to be high reward because usually the content, the matches, the experience that you get is top notch. But you got to bring down your expectations on what you're actually paying for here, or where you're actually going to venture out to see this. As like a lot of people, but it's going to be the hardcore wrestling fans that are going to go and support these companies no matter what, even if you have to wear a mask and end up in one hallway. There's a lot of territory where you can put people 6 feet apart from each other down that street. That bank is never, it doesn't seem like it's ever open. But you just got to be careful going down that alley. That alley is dangerous. Old school shit. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's going to be the new normal, not what we used to be. And I'm okay with it because a lot of things needed to change. I know I've said this before, 2020 has become the new reset button for us. A lot of the things that we didn't get to take a look at, now we can take the time, step back and see what can actually change. What can we do to make it better? Can we get rid of it altogether? And in the sense of a wrestling fan, it's like, what can we do to make this experience better for those that will actually enjoy it and not just go there to be a fucking dickhead?
Yeah, so we got to figure that out. But in the meantime, IWTV is $10 a month, $100 a year.
Right.
That's a deal. That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah, it is.
You'd pay before Sprint got taken over by T-Mobile. That's exactly what you would be paying for Amazon Prime, and you order a lot more stuff on Amazon. So support local wrestling, support the indies,
support the indies.
Bonus time. Do you want to touch base on this?
Do we want to go there yet?
We could just make it. I mean,
What do you want to do? You want to take a bathroom break?
I'm fine. The bathroom's occupied. That's why I had to kind of go like this.
Oh yeah, you got that new angle going now.
Yeah, I got the angle. Now I got the sun coming in. Now I'm gonna have my golden hour. Now you can see. And start going like this and start brushing my beard the same way Rod's been doing it for the last 4 episodes.
Oh,
We could talk about this, and quite honestly, number 1 is going to be an absolute no. We've seen it. The character assassination for the past 4 years. It's going to be a hard no. And yeah,
I don't think the power is there
no,
with the players.
no.
Why don't we tell them what we're talking about before we say no?
So we're talking about recently the Milwaukee Bucks taking a stand as a team. They boycotted after the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. They started the movement. They straight out boycotted the game, refused to come out of the locker room. They didn't inform everyone. They didn't inform anyone, as a matter of fact. And we'll touch base on that, because far be it for me to criticize or say anything about someone's intentions on making a stand. I'm sorry, it doesn't seem. We'll touch base on that though. But the Milwaukee Bucks collectively stood together and they boycotted the game. The rest of the NBA teams followed suit, except for the Orlando Magic. After they were informed what was going on, they went back to the locker room. The rest of the teams followed suit and boycotted. They refused to play. We saw several demonstrations with the WNBA as they walked up with T-shirts. They had 7 gunshot wounds in the back of their T-shirts. And kudos to and continue. The WNBA continues to lead all these sports in terms of activism, in terms of social justice and awareness, and bringing awareness to these campaigns and to these movements. Major League Baseball did it. The NHL did it, which was surprising, but I'm all for it. Soccer did it, but the question.
Simpsons did it. No.
What'd you say?
Simpsons did it.
Wait,
But we see that it's enough.
wait.
The question.
Before we continue,
Go ahead.
we have to give respect to Naomi Osaka.
Oh,
Naomi Osaka stopped the tournament.
dead in the middle of the U.S. Open, correct?
Yep.
No, this was the pre-tournament to the U.S. Open. She said, "I'm not playing. I'm good." The whole tournament stopped until she decided it was going to start again.
That's using your power, your platform, man. And I love that it's the youth that's leading us. I just absolutely am in love with that fact that it's the youth that's leading us. And shit, they're taking a stand. They could give 2 shits right now, and it's great. It's great to see. But it leads us, because we are a wrestling podcast, we have to ask the question. But we kind of did in this question. The WWE would never.
Would never.
Nope.
Well, what about?
Not even.
But the question was, but what about the NFL?
And again,
Go ahead.
We'll start with wrestling.
Start with
with
wrestling.
this. And this goes back to the point I think I made maybe a month ago or so. The only way this works is if, and especially in a COVID world, is if wrestlers keep doing their own shows. And create a bigger platform for themselves independently of the other organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know where Vince McMahon stands, right? We just know. And we tend to forget, wow, AEW is more progressive than WWE. It is still owned by the Khans, who are an NFL owner. And we know where the NFL stands. I am just in that point that if Black wrestlers or Black entertainers or anybody wants progress in wrestling from a minority standpoint is going to have to be independent of a big organization. We have seen nothing significant from any wrestling organization on TV. In fact, in my opinion, we've been insulted by WWE with this bullshit retribution angle. Which every time there's a major protest somewhere, the next night we have retribution doing similar things. AEW has been disappointing in this regard as well. Impact hasn't done shit. And no one else is really doing anything at all.
The only one, and it hasn't been the company has done it. It's been Kofi. It was Big E wearing a wrist. And it's like, it's not the
banning it, it's on the artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to give a small shout out to the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever the idea was to come up with that shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wrestlers that are doing it. It's not the company. The company.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
any statements at all is.
But like even like the WWE wouldn't even allow something like that.
No.
The Kofi Big E stuff is actually surprising to me, to be honest with you.
That they allowed it to go that long, or that at all.
Both.
Yeah. It's hard to disagree, considering
that. And here's the thing too, we also have to give shout out to Xavier Woods, who's been using his platform. As himself, he's been educating himself on Black American history, and he's been presenting his findings on his Down channel. So at least like once a week, we get a video from Xavier Woods explaining a different time in history of Black history that's not talked about in history books. Something, and he admitted that he's educated himself on these matters and he's bringing it to his platform. So shout out to him. Something that just never could happen on WWE television at all, on the network at all. Something he has to kind of still do on his own because of the separation. Just in that regard, it just pisses me off when you have to do that and this is the way you have to do it, but then you turn around and you go to bat for that company when we criticize them on your behalf.
Yeah.
But I digress. That's a different conversation.
But as it relates to the NFL, the original question, no, it's not going to happen because the players don't have the power in that league.
But it's been one token bullshit with, like, I'm cool with raising awareness. You understand? The NBA did it. You could put equality. You could put Breonna Taylor's name, say her name. But you gave them a list to choose from on what's appropriate to put on the jerseys. You refrained from Jimmy Butler wearing a blank jersey because that was his way to make a statement. No name on the back of the jersey. But then you made him go right before the game to do it. It's like the NFL solution to ending racism is singing "Lift Every Voice" before the games. But you assassinated this man's character, Colin Kaepernick, for the last 4 years, denying him every opportunity, making him look like he's been fumbling the ball ever since, only to say that you regret the situation and do nothing to repair those. That's why I haven't watched the fucking game. It's bullshit. I know I'm one of millions that watch the NFL, but it's bullshit. I'm tired of seeing the token bullshit. Make a stand. Do something. I love that the NBA is finally going to make these, along with the Players Association, these coalitions to try to affect social justice reform and stuff like that. We know that it starts with the politicians on the municipal level, on the local level, because these are the ones that, if we don't stop them from getting greedy and we don't hold them to the fire and accountable down here, they just go to Washington and make it even worse for everyone else.
Yes.
It's got to affect the local levels. I love the fact that the major sports have turned their empty arenas into polling places in November. I
But
love,
look what it took to get to that point.
but it's about time. It's right now, especially when we need every damn vote in this country. Yeah, it took something like this to. Unfortunately, we're never we're never proactive as a country, or as just humans. We're not. We're never proactive. We're always reactive to situations, and especially this country and its government. It took 4 long years of just hatred and disaster and unnecessary murders of people, innocent people, to get to this point. But finally, they did something. After all the billions of dollars, trillions of dollars that the consumers, that the players, that they supposedly support have made off of their backs, it's about time to see these steps. But like I said, I'm happy that the NBA is doing it. I love that the United Center, one of the icons on the West Side, is going to be used as a polling place. But let's see the NBA do something about Mercy Hospital closing on the South Side, or the Reinsdorfs, or whoever owns the Bulls, all these teams that stuff like that. I want to see them get involved on a local level instead of putting out a cute commercial and thinking that's going to end every problem if we just address it once and then keep it moving. Because now you had one day of boycotting for the NBA, but then they were back to normal the next day, correct?
It's 2 days.
2 days.
2 days?
2 days.
We're still talking about the playoffs, including they were playing them last night. So it's like, it's especially right now, you're not really affecting their books because nobody's in the stands as it is anyway.
But it's the TV revenue.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna come that hard out on the NBA because I respect the balance.
Yeah.
Because they allow their players, like this even goes back to like the starting of the players union.
Yeah.
No, like 15 years ago, like the fact that the league would even allows them to do that when you know that the NFL doesn't allow their players to do stuff like that.
It took a work stoppage for them to get that shit right.
Right. So like the fact that they have the freedom, the fact that they realize that, yo, we make our money mostly off of black people, maybe a couple of shooters from Indiana. You know what I'm saying? But you know,
every team's as like the Bulls cornered the market on those guys around this year. But it's like,
if you think about it too, like you know where these coaches and these scouts are going to find these kids to play in the NBA. You know what I mean? So it's like they're exposed to it, so I understand how they're a little bit more woke, and the fact that the NBA lets them do these things. Once again, I've still got to pat the back of the commissioner. They picked a good one.
Silver has been a much more progressive commissioner than the other sports, hands down.
Right.
It's hard to argue that he isn't the best commissioner in major sports currently, right now.
Yeah, and you know, they're going to make their mistakes. They're going to have the setbacks. Like we know that once again because of the situation that we're in, and we're sitting at home and we get to see these things, not in passing, but like they're in front of our face because there's nothing else to look at. Right. You know, I appreciate the people who are waking up. It's like it's a shame that it took to get to this point, but as long as you open your eyes, like we're good, and we can move forward like that. So, you know, the NBA is not going to get everything right.
No,
you know what I'm saying? But in terms of all the sports teams, and I appreciate like the other organizations who may know even less, but they at least see what's going on in the NBA.
Yeah, like the NHL. I mean,
yeah, that was a surprising thing too.
Yeah, it's like you can probably put on your both hands how many like legit black people there are in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to make a stand like that, I'm all for it. And especially since that commissioner is such a fucking douchebag anyway.
Yeah. So you know,
get to market that brand hockey, and it's very popular in Canada, but not here unless it's the playoffs. But I mean, to see them following suit, I love overseas soccer because it seems soccer gets it.
And well, those players have a ton of power,
big time.
Yeah, because they have international, eyes on them. I know.
It really does expose this idea of freedom that the rest of the world thinks Americans have.
That false sense of entitlement that a lot of Americans proudly tout.
Like that, I mean, take for it what you will, especially considering the source, but you know, that LBJ interview where he was talking about how the NFL is probably not going to let us sit out. They're probably going to make us play. You know what I'm saying? They're, you know, we're basically, they own us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's a clown, but at the same time, that's really sad.
But it's real.
For a millionaire to say that he's not free.
Because their union basically has no power. It doesn't. They've proven that with every CBA.
Every CBA.
Right.
But
to me, it goes past the union. It goes into, okay, if this was a kid in school and we taught them exactly what to do with their money, there's no way that
he can go
9 figures should make you feel like you're still, you know what I'm saying, owned.
Mm-hmm.
That should be freedom. It speaks to a bigger problem before they even got to the league. In terms of what freedom is versus what this country will let us have in place of education. We'll give you millions of dollars if you just be that yes man. Because it was always been confusing to me, even before Kaepernick, why a lot of black players would put up with what they put up with in the NFL. You have millions of dollars. Like, why? What's the appeal of signing another contract? Another 10 years, another this. Oh, you're mad because you didn't get the 30 million that was guaranteed, but you earned 100 million over the course of your career, you know?
Well, I think that comes. Go ahead.
Those things have always confused me. And now I feel like starting with Kaepernick into now, it exposes more because there's still people who are not from America who just don't get it. But now they see it.
Well, it doesn't confuse me because I watched the documentary Broke for one reason.
Right.
And you see it in post, and this is especially the case with the NFL, post NFL lives.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen a NFL player after his time just literally crumble in life, either financially or health-wise? And that's why some of these players always play one more year, because both financially and mentally, they don't have anything else. A lot of these players don't, because they're plucked out of systems that don't respect them and don't treat them any better. They're left after football with very little to speak of. You know, a lot, especially in minority cases, they're used for football from the first time they touch a ball and show some gleam of talent.
Mm-hmm.
From there all the way until the point they're done, they're just used for their talent. They're not taught. They're not educated. They're not mentored. That's the thing that shocks me about the NFL more than any other sport. There does not seem to be a bunch of mentors out there. There's a bunch of guys who talk crap on TV about other players. But rarely do you see the mentorships that you see from other sports. You know, how, you know, and that's one of the things we learned about from The Last Dance, how much of a mentor Mike was for Kobe. Or how much, I mean, we saw from the NBA just in the last, few weeks about how quickly those guys can get together and agree on standing together. Minorities in the NFL don't do anything close to that. Right. Even with the Kaepernick situation, there was like a handful of guys that stood with that man. And yes, they paid the price for their careers as well.
I still have Michael Vick's like voice ringing in my ears talking about he needs to put a suit on.
But that's the point that I'm making here. Mike's one of those guys. There's a whole bunch of those, as I like to say, Black Hollywood guys in the NFL, or that leave the NFL, that become sound pieces when they leave the NFL. If you're not a sound piece, then you're forgotten about. And we hear about later how let's take the case of Josh Gordon, for example.
I hear you.
Josh Gordon has been screaming for help
for years
in every action that he's taken. Just a week ago, he sold his Super Bowl ring. This is a man who's still in the league. He just signed a contract.
Seattle Seahawks.
And he had to sell his ring.
Yeah.
That shows no sense of community for it. I tell you right now, and this is a bold statement, but I think I just feel in my heart this is the truth. In the NBA, if there was a Colin Kaepernick in the NBA, everybody would have stopped playing until he got on a contract.
For sure, 100%.
And I'm not letting.
Hold on. Let's go back a little bit. Look what happened to Abdul Rauf when he failed to get up for the flag. How many people actually supported him?
I feel that's a different story though, because that was religion.
Okay.
But I can't let baseball off the hook because there's a cat now. His name is. He plays for Milwaukee Brewers. Last name King.
This guy that was doing the hand signal.
Yeah, he hasn't played.
Oh yeah, that fucking piece of shit.
Wait, no.
Wait. Excuse me. No, there was
talking two different cats.
Oh okay. Yeah, that was the guy from the Athletics that was doing the.
Right.
Oh, right.
It starts with an L. I want to say Lorenz King or something like that. He hasn't played since he backed out. How many people did that with him?
No, he backed out because of COVID concerns, and that was during the opening weekend of the.
No. He was on TV recently.
Oh, so he admitted that it was because of that?
Yeah.
Oh, because the way the publications, because that was the opening series against the Cubs.
Correct.
He quit like the second game of the season.
Nah.
That was because, okay.
Yeah. He said, I felt like something bigger needed to be done in my community.
Good for him. Lorenzo Cain has always been that dude, though. He's always been a real dude. Good dude.
So,
But where was that support when Bruce Maxwell, the prior season, knelt for the anthem?
Correct. That's what I'm saying. I can't let the MLB off the hook because it got to the point with these whole protests with me that it became hard to determine who was genuinely doing it for the cause, for the culture, and who was doing it as a participation ribbon.
Yeah, I think the bar for me, timeline wise, and also awareness wise, was Drew Brees. The fact that he was on one side of the line and then he woke up and found himself on the other side of that line. To me, it's a level of understanding that people need to get to. And prior to that, a lot of people just simply didn't understand that until that point. So it's not meant to take anybody off the hook for prior transgressions. But with George Floyd and the amount of people that woke up at that point, to me, it's a tipping point. It doesn't mean that everything since then has been gravy. We still have a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of people that still have a lot of learning to do.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Bryan asked, yo, give me some things to read, give me some things to look at so I can be more educated about not just being not racist, but anti-racist, right? I'm sure he has not gone through that whole book list as of now. And that's somebody who is actively trying to turn the corner, actively trying to wake themselves up.
Yeah.
So it's going to take time. And up until that point, it's going to be these kind of knee-jerk reactions and kind of people kind of joining on the bandwagon or whatever. It kind of reminds me of a joke that a comedian, I think his name was Joe Collier, used to say. He would, hold on one second.
That was the quote. He said 1 second.
Yeah.
No, he kind of said something like, you know, he told a joke and he was like, okay, look, like a lot of people didn't get this joke, but this is what you need to understand that I'm the comedian, you're the audience. So I'm gonna tell this next joke. If you don't get the joke, laugh anyway, and then figure it out when you get home.
I think that was Michael Collier.
Yeah, Michael Collier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of have that kind of same mindset right now. It's like I don't need every company to put out a statement, but it's like, you know, this is a pinnacle time where you need to really decide whether or not you rock with us. So if you're still trying to figure it out, just rock with us for now and take the time to get educated. Don't make a decision to not rock with us because I think we're going to turn this corner to where it's going to hurt you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, especially for like an organization like the NBA, yeah, you should probably rock with us because you've been having these two white coaches been speaking up for black people for about their entire careers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
don't rock the boat. You might not understand everything that's happening right now. Don't Drew Brees this though.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well
like,
said. Well said. So that should be the name of the episode. Don't Drew Brees this. Don't breeze this.
So while we're on the NFL,
Chicago's very own.
yo, we might have to double this story up because I got breaking news. But let's hit one person first, and we'll get to the next.
All right.
So it looks like we need to redo the race draft and put Brian Urlacher on the trade block for loyalty for Chicago.
You know what? The first thing I would do as Chicago, get rid of all those fucking stupid billboards of him with the hairlines on your way to Schaumburg. Get rid of all 15 of those fucking boards. The time has come, dickhead.
But and this comes back to, you know, the conversation as, you know, we stated with wrestling. Like, are we going to provide our loyalty to people? And some people make this decision for the art that they provide for us or for who they are as people.
I think well,
you can't do one. You can do one without the other, but it's hard to do both.
I'm personally rocking with people because I feel like now it's just like now we're in a situation where, like, if you walk into a brick and mortar business, especially a mom and pop, now I'm looking for the BLM sticker. I'm looking for the rainbow. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for all of these things.
Your ideals match up with mine.
Because you, at the end of the day, you vote with your dollars.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I said it at the beginning of all of this mess. It's like, yo, let me know what promotions I need to continue to pay for and which ones I need to stop paying for.
Simple as that, yeah.
because I already had the conversation. Like, we talk about WWE, they're not making any money off of me right now.
Period.
We're giving them a little bit of attention because of the crazy stuff that they do, it's in exchange for having a podcast, So that's an equal exchange. That's all they're going to get from me, So let me know. I want to know, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if anything, that speaking out movement like really shook me in terms of, yo, did I put money, in somebody, empower somebody to continue to do so? Because you can have this whole thing. I'll give you the perfect example. At one point in time, I thought the Hodge twins were like the funniest thing on the internet.
Who?
The Hodge twins.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with these guys, but they started out by just talking about working out and just silly stuff on the internet. And they were highly entertaining and they were funny. They were pretty vulgar, and I loved every minute of it. Watch backlogs of their videos. Then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, they're like super MAGA. And it's just like, yo, and it's to this day, it still confuses me because I don't know if that's the way they really feel or it's the bag. Because once YouTube got to the point where you could be a personality and now you can travel the country, and do like engagements, and like they sold out Thalia Hall like 5 years ago. They sold out the same arena that Dave Chappelle did a run at. I know it's not a big arena, but it's still like, to me, it says something when you can do the same thing as this star. I think Wild 'N Out was also there.
Yeah, Michael Che from Saturday Night Live was there too.
Exactly.
He pulled out the spot.
And this was before the MAGA run. And now they're like super, super duper, like, and it's just like, wow. All of that currency that I gave to the Hodge twins, because that YouTube views mean something.
Oh,
right. I think we need to learn, well, not we. A lot of people need to learn that in entertainment, all forms of entertainment, sports, otherwise, just about everybody that you see is playing a character.
Yeah.
It may be a version of themselves, but in most examples, it's still a character. Even your favorite sports star is playing a character 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't just go out there wilding out being themselves without affecting their bag.
Right.
The only person I have ever been 100% confident that I am seeing the real person every time I see them is Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, hell yeah.
Marshawn Lynch got a cheat code somewhere where he was always able to be himself and still keep his bag. That's because he didn't spend no money for the most part. But, that's another story for another day. Mm-hmm. But we keep learning this lesson over and over and over again. We learned it recently with Brian Urlacher, Herschel Walker, all these cats that came out during the RNC who were, something when we felt in the public eye, and then you see them in real life, you're like, yo, Kirk Schilling was that first wake-up call for me. Then, JBL was another wake-up call, and it just let me know, like, yo, I don't know these cats.
Right.
I'll take what they do on TV for face value, but I ain't falling in love with nobody, man. And if you want to I'm going to add a pile onto your list right now, Jay Cutler. We already didn't want to keep him in the first place. He out there with Miss Fox News.
He's out. No, she's not with Fox. Is she from Fox News now?
Tammy Lauren?
Yeah. Whatever.
The MAGA princess?
Yeah.
Semantics. Whatever.
I'm just saying, like,
fucking Jay Cutler. And I followed him because of what was eating his chickens for the past couple of weeks. and then I saw that pop up like, this is popping up on the radar. No, I'm good.
But it's not just him. I mean, and we've seen it in wrestling.
And you know what's disappointing about the Brian Urlacher situation?
What?
Explain that to your black son.
Oh man, don't even give me that. That hit me.
That's
him hit me because not only because he's basically rejected his son.
Yeah.
You don't see his son nowhere. No in family pictures or anything like that.
But Black Lives Matter to him when it was okay for during the conception of it. That's he's just I'm done. It's everybody that's ended up in this kind of bubble. It's like I've had no problem washing my hand. If your morals and your ideals don't match mine, I can't reciprocate that. I can't support that anymore.
The thing with Brian Urlacher that I think is the most impactful is that Brian Urlacher to Chicagoans is what Donald Trump used to be to hip hop. Before we realized who Donald Trump was. Because I put Twister on here because I'm just hoping maybe he just didn't know. But Twister was a reminder of, yo, when you were like coming up during the time that Brian was playing, and you was a baller, and you was trying to flex, you was trying to floss, you had an Urlacher jersey. That was part of the Chicago I'm flossing kit.
Straight up.
Do you know what I mean?
Is that a White Sox jersey?
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like Brian Urlacher meant a lot to a lot of people here.
Right.
In a lot of low places.
Oh yeah, because I mean he was the Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bears during his era. And we always did that with the Chicago Bears. It was Walter Payton was the outlier because he played offense. But what is Chicago Bears always predominantly known? They're stable of linebackers. Butkus, Mike Singletary, and now Brian Urlacher's like, I mean, he was like Bears royalty. And unfortunately, there's a huge part of the fan base that had with the Chicago Bears that see nothing wrong with what he said. I just can't co-sign that shit. And if Twista's out there, he agrees with it, I'm about to delete his entire catalog because
I don't know. Like within 24 hours, he put a post out of him wearing a Brian Urlacher jersey, but it was an old picture from back in the day.
Nothing's a coincidence these days, though.
Right. So I don't know what it is, but if you scroll up a few pictures on Twister's Instagram, you see that he's doing like $500 like
cameos,
conceal and carry courses.
Yeah, he's doing the classes now.
Yeah.
Well, he's not performing on that bar on Ogden anymore over in Berwyn.
No, but your $500 doesn't get you a free exclusive song.
Why?
You can still support Crucial Conflict or Do or Die or any other of the fantastic Chicago rappers that don't wear Brian Urlacher jerseys.
Right.
It's like it's know your audience, right? Know your audience and listen.
Read the room.
Read the room. Fuck's sake, man.
He's going to get that Kanye money, man. Remember him and Kanye, man.
Yeah,
it was boys, man. So
at one point they were, and then Kanye kind of went up, and Twista stayed right there. But he guest starred on an episode of what do you call it, Rhythm and Flow with the Netflix
Chance,
yeah, right at Reggie's, right?
Yeah,
good for him.
Sure. You know what we need? We need the Office linebacker. We need him to come back.
What was his Tate? Something Tate.
Yeah.
Larry Tate.
Yeah.
Let him come back and sack the shit out of racism. Just random racist beat. Or the guy, what was the one that when he was viral all the time, smacking the shit out of people smoking cigarettes?
Tyrone.
Yeah.
Tyrone's still out there.
He's still working.
He's got to wear a mask though. He's got to wear a
There's
mask.
another cat. I don't know his name, but he's viral too. For he comes out of nowhere and tackles guys who owe child support.
Oh yeah. Prime time.
Yeah, prime time. Yeah, he's funny as hell.
Oh,
He's funny as hell.
can you imagine just walking down the street and you get tackled and you realize, nah, man, they auto deduct that shit. What are you talking about? Oh man. But
Like, how are you verifying that I owe?
yeah. Who do you work for? You're certainly walking around with a Department of Family Services jersey.
You're right.
Who sent you? It was probably Kim Fox. Oh, let's not start though. We'll have a special election day episode.
Yeah.
You know what? It wouldn't be the worst thing to go over some candidates that we do some research. Like with the last election, I did a lot of research on the local judges that we were voting for to see their records on where they fell on certain situations. So, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for us to promote that, especially with the very important election coming up in November. You know, some of the candidates that kind of match the ideals that we have before they actually enter office. So it would be something good to share.
Are we endorsing candidates now? Is that what it is?
Yeah, as long as we get a shout out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not getting no shout outs, man.
No,
I don't know about y'all. I didn't get no invites to none of the convention.
I'll tell you what, our alderman, Matt Martin for the area, emailed all of us, and he is an African-American male, and he made sure to reach out to all the families in the areas, you know, because we registered. So I got an email asking if I'd like to participate in or receive a Black Lives Matters sign for the front lawn. Nothing with the alderman's office on it. Nothing, just simply a sign. And you're providing them for free, and they delivered them to the door. So it was pretty dope to see, at least in a neighborhood.
Uh-oh. Daddy's on. Daddy doing his thing, man.
And we can't finish the episode without him walking away. He knows all the words to the closing.
Wait, don't we have that recorded though?
Well, not like live recorded for video. I keep looking at my hair. This shit's just wild, man. My boss did ask me if are you gonna cut it. I'm like, do I get a raise if you cut it? Coming back, I'm gonna walk in.
Facts.
No, sir.
Facts.
Now you can close the show. He's like, don't we have that recorded? I'm like this. Yeah, if we were operating under normal circumstances, sure, I'd press a button.
Just remember that this show isn't for always forever be for the culture. Remember that you do vote with your dollars. Your attention is currency. And even if you are a mark, make sure you leave a positive mark on this life.